Hey, it's me, Bria, and I'm a lifestyle coach. I help moms reclaim their time and energy. Look at you, taking this moment to recharge. I see you. During the Doulas Bloom podcast, I share tools and resources with my clients and community to spend time with themselves. The key to you living as your authentic self is embracing change and having courage. Your relationship with yourself is the only true constant in life, and observing yourself throughout each season will allow you to always be in alignment with the desires of your heart. Are you interested in joining my one-on-one coaching program? You can book a sales call with me by visiting the link in the description to schedule your session today. Before we get started, I have to remind you of your influence because you are an inspiration. Hey everybody, and happy International Women's Month. I am so excited for this series. I have been hard at work all of February recording with amazing women to bring you their stories. I created the Girl Chat series not only to share the stories of amazing women, but to also create time capsules of our growth. I think it's so important for us to go back and witness ourselves. And through this series, I have created a little time capsule, not only for me, but also for the women who joined me in these chats. We get to go back and witness ourselves in these moments. And I teach my clients and my community to do this on a monthly and weekly level. And so I'm so excited to expand and grow this series as time goes on. It's going to be so interesting to have guests come back on to the series. But I'm getting ahead of myself. If this is your first time here, my name is Bria. I am a lifestyle coach. I host the Doulas Bloom podcast. I am the creator of the Doulas Bloom community, and I am the leader of the village. So I'm so excited to bring you this March 2022 cohort of Girl Chats. I have committed to doing this every year, as last year in 2021, I did a series, an IGTV series of Girl Chats, which will also be shared during this month, that has inspired me to continue to share stories and to have conversations with women about their stories and their lives and what's brought them to this point. So for the rest of March 2022, you will be getting stories from 20 plus women about their stories, about where they are right now and what has brought them to this point. And I am so excited to do this again. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who's shared so openly in this series. And I am so excited to hop right into this conversation. Clearly, you clicked on this one because something in the title or the description, or you know the person who's going to be on this chat. I just want to say thank you to everybody, and I am so looking forward to our conversation about where you are a year from now, 2 years from now. I'm just excited to have you back for another Girl Chat. But I'm going to stop rambling. I'm going to stop rambling and hop right into this conversation because it is so beautiful, and I don't take any of this for granted, and that's why I really had to come in here hot before we even got into the conversation just to share that. And yeah, I'm gushing right now, but thank you so much for listening, you as the viewer who's experiencing this conversation, this Girl Chat, and thank you to everybody who's been on the Girl Chat in its entirety. So yeah, I'm gonna stop rambling and I'm gonna let the Girl Chat go. But if you're interested in being part of a Girl Chat with us here on the Doulas Bloom podcast, let me know. You can go to the description. There's a link down there for you to join the wait list. There's a wait list, y'all. There's a wait list for the Girl Chats because so many people wanted to be a part of this, and I'm just excited because we're gonna have more Girl Chats here in the future. So if you want to be a part of the next cohort, you need to join the wait list. Okay, have these conversations, share your story, share your insights and your gems with the community, and let us know what's going on. I don't want us to hide and think that we don't, like, our stories aren't enough. Like, oh my gosh, I've learned so much from the women in my life, and that's why this series means so much to me. But again, I want to create space for you to enjoy this conversation. And again, thank you so much to everybody who's listening, who's being a part of this series. I am happy that you're here. Again, if you want to be a part of this series, you can join the waitlist. The link is down below. You can go to doulasbloom.com/podcast guest to join the waitlist. So without further ado, it's time for a Girl Chat. It's time for a girl
Enjoy.
chat. Hey, time for a girl chat. It's
Girl
time
chat.
for a girl chat. Hey, time for a girl chat. Boom. Hey, everybody, it's Bria, and welcome back to the Do Spoon podcast. As you can tell by the little theme song that I just sung, we are doing a girl chat today. And today we have, how do you actually pronounce your name? How did I not say that at the beginning?
Khalida DuBose.
How do,
So it's an Arabic name. So I say
okay,
Kha.
how,
So say Khalida.
Khalida?
Yeah, that's perfect for you. For me, I can read Arabic.
Oh, okay.
And so I just say my name because I'm very used to it. It's an Arabic name. So Khalida. Yeah. So
So
there's this sound in the back of your throat that has to be practiced actually.
yeah, I was gonna say I don't have that, practice that skill.
That like guttural
Yeah.
throat sound.
So
Yeah. Khalida.
one more time.
So if you really look at the spelling,
Yeah.
Kha, so ka, so kind of leave
Ka.
out the H if you will.
Okay.
Lida, Khalida.
Khalida. Khalida.
Yeah.
Khalida?
Yes.
Thank you for teaching us all how to say your name.
No worries.
Khalida.
No worries.
Welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you here today. Would you like to introduce yourself to everyone who's listening?
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I am Khalida, or if you need to say Khalida, right? And gosh, I kept thinking, how do I want to introduce myself? This is always the most
Mm.
awkward thing for me. And so I just decided to say, I'm Khalida, I'm a lot of things, right? But
Yeah.
what I do for my career is I work with I serve women of color, business owners, and coaches in the online space as a business coach. Yeah, I'm passionate about women harnessing their superpowers. I think that women have so much to offer to the world. I'm sure I'm in good company with that one. My passion and like my desire is to be on that journey with women as they're discovering themselves, as they're coming home to themselves. And I felt like what was the best way for me to do that? And the best way for me to do that is through like really coaching women on like their mindsets
Mm-hmm.
around money, around owning like their own business. Business, you have to make so many decisions. You have to really stand in leadership. You have to be out on that ledge when it's cold all alone sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like this was the perfect like vehicle. Entrepreneurship was a perfect vehicle for women. And I certainly, as I've gone through my entrepreneurial journey, I was like, whoa, what is this? Right. I always, for years, I was in the self help stuff. And I never felt like I grew the way I started growing when I became an entrepreneur. And so I thought, I
Mm.
want to do the same thing with women. I want to use this vehicle to help with my mission and vision in the world. That's
Mm.
kind of a short, but I'm a lot of things, I think I'm creative.
Yeah.
I'm definitely funny, which doesn't come out a lot in the online space. So weird when people say they're funny, right? Like, no, you're not. You ain't funny. But, yeah, I think I'm funny.
You
And
funny.
yeah. And I'm still just trying to, just so many identities, right? And just trying
Yeah.
to like still get to know all of them.
Yes. Oh, that's what we're
Yeah.
all about here. Just, tapping into our authentic self and just like letting ourselves play like we were when we were kids. Like we did everything without like thinking about it. Cause I would also
Right.
say, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a creative, I make music, I love to sing, I love to dance. Like you have beautiful artwork behind you. I like to do art, maybe not as beautiful as that. I call myself more of a doodler. It kind of comes together in the end for me.
I wish
But
that was all my art. This is my siblings. I
oh,
have a
well, it's
couple
beautiful.
pieces are mine, but like yeah, my siblings they just
Mm,
during pandemic everybody had to paint because we didn't have
some
nothing else to do.
we all had the something watercolor at the very least.
That's right.
But thank you for being here and thank you for sharing. We kind of got the conversation started before I hit record. Sorry, all, but we were talking about like where we are geographically, and I miss Colorado.
Oh my god, she's a
It's
okay.
snowing.
Well, it was. It snowed for like 2 days. It did not let up. We you know how Colorado is.
Yes.
Like it will snow and then all of a sudden the sun's like I'm back, right?
Yep. Hmm.
Which is what I love about it. I love to have winters where, yes, there's snow on the ground. Yes, it was hard to drive for a couple days, but it melts and the sun comes
Yeah.
back out. Even if it's freezing, the sun's out, which lifts your mood,
Yeah, it does. I love the weather there, and we get more ice here in North Carolina, which is like
Yeah.
embarrassing because like the whole city basically shuts down for ice. And I was actually dog sitting when like an ice storm happened and
Right.
everything was closed. And so who I was dog sitting for, they were like out they were out of the state for a while. So when they came home after like a long day of driving, they were like, let's get some takeout. Everything was closed. Everything was closed. I was like, when I was in Denver, I could order takeout in snowy conditions. All you got to do is tip very well if you're going to, have someone deliver. And he was
Right.
like, it's crazy that everything's closed down. I'm like, I want to live somewhere where the city is actually equipped for this type of weather instead of
Right.
just being like, this is just how it is.
Well, I was like really shocked to see that there was so much snow in North Carolina. I think a few weeks back. Was it?
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what? The South gets snow like that? And my mom's in Georgia. She
Okay.
moved to Georgia some like about 5 or 6 years ago. And it's just laughable because she moved to Colorado when she was pregnant with me. And she's like, these people, I can't with
Right.
them and their weather,
I can't.
But I love it. I just love it.
I love
I'm
that
always
we're
laughing when I
connecting
see
over the
little
weather.
snow flurries on the internet
Hmm.
and then everybody's like, "Ooh," bundling up. I'm like, "Y'all, come on." Like, and
Exactly.
Colorado. Colorado. We got
I
some white
do.
folks and they will be wearing shorts.
Oh,
For
no, I've
real.
seen it. I went to school in Denver, and so we've had blizzards before, and, you gotta get to the dining hall to eat. Come on now, a girl gotta eat. So walking from your residence hall to the dining hall in the blizzard, getting an ice facial. If you don't know what an ice facial is,
You
girl,
just haven't lived yet. No.
it feels nice once you get inside and it all melts off, but you would see
Right.
people walking in flip-flops and, like, shorts, and I would just be like, to each their own. I'm gonna wear
Right.
my jacket and my long socks and my leg warmers, and I'm gonna feel good.
Right. I'm not gonna lie. I do bundle up a bit when I go out, but I didn't have a coat for like 8 years because
But
I would be like,
not
I can
that
handle
bad.
it.
And then you're only
Right.
outside for a little bit.
Right. And then you get in your car and it's heat. There's heat,
Exactly. So
Yeah. I
it's
finally
okay
bought
to
one
not
this
have a
year. I'm
coat.
like, okay, I must be aging because now I feel cold all the time and I need a winter coat.
I feel that. I want to give everyone a little bit of context of to like
Okay.
how we know each other and how we met. So we are in the same group business coaching program. Shout out to Five Figure Freedom. Woo
Woo
woo.
woo. Right.
And yeah, DL's awesome. Thank you for bringing us
Oh my God.
together.
Thank you,
And
Lord.
yeah, we need your help, girl. Thank you.
Right.
But I love to like just think about like first impressions. Like obviously we haven't met in person, but like what was your virtual impression of me? Even like just now, like what I just like to do a little first impression thing. Like what was your and how'd you feel?
Well, I just felt like you were really just outgoing and bubbly, which I think
Aw.
is so important. Not saying everybody has to be bubbly. I know that can be
Yeah.
like a word, right? But just welcoming, especially when you're a podcast host.
Yeah.
I'm a podcast host as well, and sometimes how it is. People come to interviews and they're nervous, right?
Yeah.
So I always feel like it's my job to kind of, just kind of trying to set that tone and be like, hey, what's up? Like everything's good. You might be a little bit nervous. I talk to
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurs on my podcast. And so a lot of times they're trying to speak to me in a way where they can show their authority. They can, speak to me about like a
Yeah.
subject that they coach on or that they have a business on. And so I understand that pressure that you feel. So when I met you, I was like, oh, okay, she's open, she's nice, she wants to like, have conversations. I think that's really important. I love having conversations. I'm really great
Yes.
one to one. I'm introverted,
Oh,
which people don't realize,
people don't realize it about me
No, they
either.
think introverts are like quiet and we like are never seen and stuff. I did go through a stage like that in adolescence. Um, but yeah, I'm not a shy introvert. I'm just more of a like I need a lot of time to recoup and you know brain space.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought very welcoming and just I like that you just like own who you are. Like this is my podcast. This is what we're gonna do.
Oh, thank
I'm about to
you.
sing. My first like 20 podcasts. I'm like, please don't look at me while I read the intro. Like
Yeah.
that's how introverted Khalida felt. But the outside exterior is like, okay, let me boss up and read my intro. Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, I love that. I love that, you can still feel something, but then still be welcoming and still,
Mm,
uh
thank
yeah.
you. My heart, like, literally my heart.
Right.
Because I'm always shocked at, like, people's interpretation of me, and that's why I love doing this little segment, in girl chats because it's like my perception of myself isn't always what I put out. Like,
Mhm.
I feel like I'm always frantic and I'm just, like, always, like, trying to talk myself down, like, "Bria, girl, you good? Calm down, breathe." And, like, for people to just be like, "Bria, you're just like you just do what you want." I'm like, "I do. I do what I do what I want."
Right.
But I would say that, like, my first impression of you was just, like, when, like, I first saw you getting coached in, um, the five-figure formula, Freedom, Now Freedom, you,
Right.
um, you were just really about your dotting your I's and crossing your T's. I said, "She's on it, and she's gonna ask her questions." And I think we were in maybe it was a sales call clinic. You asked some,
Yeah.
like, really in my like, my interpretation of the question was pretty deep. He was like, it had to do with something about, like,
I remember it was the only question I asked,
yeah,
but
the patriarchy and stuff, and I said, "She woke. She woke." I was like, "Yes, let me get in a room with her. I could learn some things." And I was just like, "Wow." And so I'm really glad that you took this opportunity to just come and chat with me because I'm like, I'm excited to hear your story and, like, just see everything that's brought you to this moment. So, like, if you would love to share, I would love to listen just to, like, everything that just brought you to this point.
gosh, yeah. So this is something such a big question, right? Because I've lived quite a few years so far. At least it feels like that. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm in that stage, you guys. I'll just be honest. In March, at the end of March, I turned 38. Um,
Mm,
a lot of people are like, wait, what? I
yeah,
do admittedly have kind of a baby face. It's called good genes, y'all. Good genes.
amen.
Um, but yeah, a lot. I think a lot has brought me to this point, and I'll have to say the person like this version of me is a version that's no longer feeling shame around how long it took me to
Mm,
realize some things, come home to some things, and still be working through things, right? I'm a Black woman, I'm a Muslim woman,
yeah,
but I'm not married. I'm not like I don't have kids, I'm not in a place in my life where I'm like super looking for that at the
yeah,
moment, right? Open to it, but not looking for it because I really just finally gave in and kind of submitted to like I need to know who I am. I
mm,
don't I need to like date myself and fall in love with her
yeah,
so that I can know who I am because through knowing who I am, I can have a relationship that I wanted to have with God, you know? I suspected that like, early on, so I would say like probably pain has brought me to this point, right? And that's not abnormal. The more I read, the more I realize a lot of great people, great women, they go through lots of pain before their greatness hits.
yeah,
Um, as I read, just taking it out of context from us being in this like very fast paced world, I realized that most of the great people throughout history, not just the last, 20 years of social media,
yeah,
have hit their strides in their 40s and 50s, right? And I'm not saying you can't hit your stride before then, but I'm just saying, like, I used to feel so much shame, like, I should know, I should know, I should know, right? Recovering perfectionist, recovering people pleaser.
mhm,
These are the things that we always worry about. And so, yeah, I think early in my life, I experienced a lot of trauma that I didn't even know to identify as trauma. If you come from a religious background, a lot of things are just framed in the context of like, that was the test you were supposed to go through.
yeah,
And while I believe that, I still think that, there's a space for healing too. And for really looking at what's not working and let's not keep repeating that, generation after generation.
mhm,
Um, so yeah, I dealt with a lot of like, I would say mine was probably more emotional trauma and then secondary trauma, right? Being from, being the daughter of a mother who was like severely abused in her youth. And then my mom raising six children as a severely abused person who never really who never had therapy, who never had the space for people to just even understand her. And, now as I'm a woman myself and I have so many nieces and nephews and I've helped raise so many children, I can now it's so much easier for me to like put like what she might have been going through in context and think, "Oh my lord," like
Yeah.
what the heck. So I would say, a lot of that. And then out of childhood going into your like adulthood, right? 20s, and not realizing like, "Oh, I probably need to heal and there's a lot of stuff going on." And so I made like just a lot of decisions that I thought were like the best. I'm going to go to college. I'm going to go into corporate America.
Yeah.
And then I experienced just a whole nother level of trauma with that, right? You go through trauma in higher education.
You do. Mm.
Sometimes that's just being the token in different ways. Then you get into corporate America, and that's where I feel like I just was stripped of like that creativity, that
Mhm.
self trust, and everything, sitting in boardrooms and having ideas and them being like completely like ignored or people not saying anything. And then like your idea popping up, on somebody else's desk or they're the project manager of this project that you talked about years ago, right? So we
Yeah.
all, we can all identify with that. The micromanagement, just all the things. And it really starts to eat at your self-esteem. And what people don't realize is if you already kind of have a foundation where there was like, there's cracks in the foundation that
Yeah.
those types of things start to seep in and they permeate you a little bit, or maybe a lot of it. And you
Yeah.
start to think this is me, like maybe I'm not as smart as I thought I was. Who even,
Mhm.
you kind of start to attack yourself, right? And then we know how these things play out, how they can play out in so many different ways. And but I also always had this willingness, right? So I've always had this willingness to learn, to work hard, and I don't mean hard in the way of like overworking and killing ourselves, but just keep at something, be
Yeah.
be persistent for what I wanted and what I believed in, and trust and believe like on the path I have stumbled, I've stopped, I've questioned myself, I've argued with people that I love, I've been in opposition with people, I've lost friends, I've outgrown friends, they've outgrown me, I was toxic at one point, maybe, it's like all
Yeah.
the trying to figure it out and all the trying to like get there. But one thing about me was that I was always willing to go that extra step. I was always willing to stay a little bit later. I was always willing to figure this out, like what
Mhm.
is going on, and be the first one, right? I mean, I think a lot of us can relate to that when we say we want to break a generational curse or habit or something that's been going on. It's not easy because being the first one, there's no manuals. So, and then I would say like probably I have like this insatiable appetite for like problem solving, right?
Yeah.
So that's got me in some trouble, because if you don't have a
Yeah.
proper foundation, like what problem solving looks like for me is like I need to fix this because it's uncomfortable to have problems. It's uncomfortable for things to go crazy. I don't feel like I have enough control. And what I've learned, especially as being a coach, is that no, I can problem solve by coaching people, standing in leadership and coaching people in a way that they find the answer for themselves, right? I can coach them into learning awareness, right? Because that's really where we solve problems. We solve
Yes.
problems in awareness. Awareness is step number one. And we always want to like see the problem bubbling up and be like, okay, let me fix this. Well, it's like we don't even know what the root is, like
Yeah.
what's under all that. We need to dig it all out, clean it, and so I think as I've gotten a little bit older and matured, I would say those are kind of the things that I always look back on. Just the sheer pain that you went through, different types of pain.
Mhm. Yeah.
Reminding myself though that you haven't ever quit, and somewhere along the line somebody told you the story or you picked it up or it was modeled that just because it wasn't a straight line or just because it wasn't perfect or just because you haven't hit, I don't know, whatever people's goals are, $1 million, the wife, husband, babies, all that stuff, that you're not making it. That's what you're witnessing
Yeah.
today. It's like me, like just uncovering those untruths and like figuring out what
Mm.
is the truth, you know?
Those untruths. Come
Right,
on.
right.
Yeah.
So that was a long answer. I know.
No, I love it, and I love just giving my guests the space to share and for me to just absorb it all because I try not to interrupt people's thought process because, like,
Mhm.
I just like to let it all flow, and, like, there's so many things that resonated with me in your story. Like, I went through that season of, like, I was in the military,
Mhm.
and so my military experience kind of accelerated the way that I see myself and how
Mm.
I won't allow people to tell me to do things because like I think there's a point where you don't get to refer to yourself in the first person.
Mm,
That just like it triggered something for me. I was like, I will never
right.
not be myself. And so going through that experience and being like, okay, now that I'm not in the military anymore, for those who are not familiar with my story, I was in the military. I got injured during training and I got discharged. I left. I said, I'm out. I was like, I want to be able to walk before I have to get like pins and screws or need any type of like major surgery. And
Right.
so after that experience, I was like, oh no, oh, no, 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 no. I'm going to like, I went through this whole like identity crisis. And I was like, who
Mhm.
is Bria? Because I was in JRTC before I enlisted in the military. So like I was always referred to as Daniel, which is my last name. And so I was like,
Oh,
I
wow.
know Daniel, they're structured, they're, they listen, they do what as they're told, they don't ask questions. And it's just like, but who's Bria? And so like it took me a while to get to that space of like being like, what does it look like to be me? What do I want? And so like I dropped out of school. I always joke with my friends. I was like, if the campus ever closed or like if something crazy happens, I'm dropping out of school. And so like I kind of made my plan to quit. And then like when the pandemic happened, I was like, bang bang, deuces. And so I dropped out and it's been the best decision I've ever made for myself because it's allowed me to really explore who I am as a person outside of like having a role or a title attached to me. And so like when it comes to like that piece of like generational trauma and like breaking that down, I feel like specifically with like my ancestors, like they wanted to do more, but they were so like consumed by the title and the role that was given to them. And so it's like me, I'm Bria. That's my only job.
Mm,
My only job is
right.
just to be Bria. And so just like breaking that whole thing down, I think just me like being here, having this conversation with you and having my business and actually seeing it to fruition, no matter how long it takes,
Right.
I'm starting to break that down because there are so many great ideas in my family and a lot of people are just sitting on them. And I'm like,
Mm,
okay, I'm not going to rush you to like chase after what you want. But like in my lineage, we come from a long line of entrepreneurs,
mm.
self makers. And this is all new information that I found out after like doing my own little like digging from talking to people over here and over there. And I was like, wait, we were entrepreneurs? Uncle
Right.
Bob, I don't have an Uncle Bob, but like, Uncle Bob had his own like little liquor store, XYZ. Like he had his own little shop in Chicago. You stop playing.
Right.
So I was like, it makes sense for me to be here and be in this space and trying to make something of myself. And so I resonated with so much that I was like, girl,
It's also beautiful that, like, you can go back and look at that history because, I think as a Black person in the United States, we've lost so much of our history.
yeah.
And, one of my uncles, we all got that crazy uncle. Well, my crazy uncle used to always be like, this is the problem with us. We don't know our history. And I'd be like,
Yeah.
okay,
I
I'll,
know.
could you stop talking? But the more I realize, like, even the more, we coach, we realize that, like, a lot of times we're asking our clients to go back and see, like, where a belief came from, right?
Yeah.
So then I think it's equally important to go back and say, who are my people? Like, what happened to them? Because really what a lot of us carry around is just shame that we're not in a certain place,
Yeah.
or shame that we can't uphold, like, this ideal of our family or being a Black
Yeah.
person, or, there's a lot. I mean, I think the layers are so much, and a lot of other cultures just really can't understand it.
Yes. They can.
Yeah, we
They
carry
can.
we carry a lot. We carry a lot of, like, I was just talking to some of I have like a peer mastermind group with women, and we were just talking about like hair earlier today. And we're just like,
Yeah.
I mean, people can't even imagine like the kind of just nuances that you're taught in your family about like hair. And I was like, yeah, I was always that kid who grew up because I didn't always wear hijab.
Mhm.
Who just was like, "Why can't I put my hair in a bun and let it look messy like Susie?" Like,
Yeah.
I think that looks cute. Why can't I have bed hair? And it was just, we take in so many different messages, right? And
Mhm.
so when we finally start to get down to like, who am I? Like, I don't think people realize how much we have to chip away and how
Yeah.
scary that process can be based on like what you're taught about being an individual. right? There are many
Yeah.
cultures in the world that don't believe in being individuals. They dress alike, they celebrate together, they live together, and so yeah, that's very important to just know the origins of things. And
Yeah, I went through a whole, like, the identity crisis, figuring out who Bria was, like, during my freshman year in college. Like, I had a friend who was Jewish. I had a friend who was, like, Hispanic and, like, had also, like, other Asian roots in her family as well, and I was just like, I guess I'm American. Like, I can't really say I'm from Africa. Like, I know that's where my ancestors are from, but like there was this whole thing. I was like, where, who, what?
right, right,
And so I can definitely understand like getting to know your roots and like
hmm,
really getting to know your roots and like shaking those things out and like looking at them. And like
right,
I went through like the whole like not ancestry. I think it was like 23andMe I did like just to
yeah,
figure out like what region am I from? Because I was
right,
watching all these YouTubers who were like Nigerian and all this and like I felt something like in my body. It just felt nice to hear their accent. It felt nice to like witness their culture.
right.
And I was like, girl, Bria, you Nigerian. I was like, stop playing. No, you're not. And I was like, I have Nigerian roots. And so when I went through the whole like 23andMe process, I was like, oh my gosh, I am. And so
How
like
much
like
Nigerian do you have?
it's I would have to look at the percentage, but it's the most. Um
Y'all, me and Bria are cousins because my sister did 23andMe, and we had everybody would see us and be like, "Oh my god, are you guys Somali? Oh my god,
yeah.
are you Sudani?" Is what we would get, right? And I think it's
Okay.
because when you wear hijab and stuff, there's a lot of Muslims in that region, and I would be like, "No, I'm not Sudani," and I get it. I People would show me pictures of Sudani like men, and they would look just like my nephew, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so funny. We had the out of all the African countries, the most was Nigeria.
Yeah, and I always have to, like, remind myself of, like, when I'm thinking about it, I'm like, these are where the slave ports were, like, this is
Right.
where the whatever that word is that we learned in, like, social studies, the trade happened, and so, like,
Mhm.
I was watching High on the Hog. I'm a big foodie, so, like, I loved watching, like, the food history of it as well, but also just, like, witnessing how, like, our history is also in our food,
Mhm.
and so, like,
Yep.
I think just realizing the cultural things that we still have, like fish fry Sundays, like after church.
Mhm.
I never partook in those things. I don't eat fish, but just being like, oh my gosh, that's what I witnessed growing up. And they don't even realize that they're still carrying these traditions that have been passed on through
Right.
generation. And I
Right.
think there's a piece of like, I don't want to lose hope and being like, there's no way I'm gonna know like my true lineage. And that's
Mm.
why I lean so much on like my ancestral plane. That's what I like to call it when I go and
Right.
visit my ancestors. And I'm like, I trust y'all. I trust this intuition, this feeling in my body when it's like, if that's for me and if this is a message from you, this is the relationship that I have with like my spirituality, this is good and I trust you. And so it's like finding peace in that I won't really know
Right.
the full truth of my ancestral lineage and just being like, okay, I get to lean on my spirituality to fill the gap. And then also getting as much information from the people who are here right now to
Right.
also create those stories that I get to share with generations down the line. And
And that's
yeah,
how I look at it too. It's like, one day I'll be 300 years dead, right?
yes,
And there
yes,
will be somebody who will be like, "Okay, 300 years ago this great grandmother, 19 times removed, right? This is
yeah.
what she did." So it's like we might not have the thousands of years, you know?
Hmm.
And I don't I'm a strong believer that like everything happens that there's good in everything that happens, right?
Hmm.
Even some of the most tough things. And when you look at like African American history, I mean, it's like how much tougher does it get, right?
Yeah.
But also just that belief that like that knowing that like this time is my time to do the work that I probably will never see come to fruition, right? So it's like, but it's my time to do this work, and part of this work is just like really embodying being like a human, right? And
Hmm.
not letting people tell us that because we have a certain type of skin or hair type or whatever it is, that we're less than, that we're not as talented, and in fact, really pushing ourselves to the limit to be talented, and not in just things like sports or entertainment, right? Unless that's what
Yeah.
you really want to do, but also showing people like we're doggone brilliant people. And I'm going to show you in every which way, and I'm going to let that come out in like for everybody how they express that, let that come out in every way, and we're going to do it unapologetically, right?
Amen.
We're not
Yes.
taking prisoners. We're not trying to make you like
Yes,
feel any kind of way
exactly.
anymore. Like we're just going to do us. And I think part of that just comes with like us really healing, us really realizing what
Yes.
happened and just shedding that thick layer of shame that
Yes.
we have behind being like, oh, my family's not perfect. Oh, we don't have this. Oh, we don't have a history of
Yeah.
19 people going to Harvard or whatever. I also have super strong views on like institutions like higher education.
Yeah, I'm not a
So,
fan. I'm not a fan either of higher ed.
right. I
Um,
mean, it doesn't benefit people, in my opinion, people of color. And I can completely understand why people of color, wanted to be educated and things like that. Because I highly believe in education, but I don't
mhm,
believe in putting my people through a system that oppresses them.
mhm.
And then, on the other side, you come out because I went through it. Right before,
Yeah,
I was like, everybody go to college. I'd be like signing my siblings up for college, right?
yeah,
Um, but now I'm like, yeah, so they go through these institutions that basically drive home the point more and more that you're less than us in
yeah.
their own types of ways and everything, and tokenize us, right?
Mhm,
So yeah, I think that our work, at least for me, the way I look at it, like my work, and I specifically like look at women, right?
mhm.
Because I know that women, I mean, women, we have such a huge impact. Like one woman's going to have impact on, you know,
So many
right,
generations. Yeah.
thousands of people. And so my work is really working with women because I am a woman, right?
Yes.
That's how I identify. And I can understand us, and I've seen women go through some of the most horrific things.
Mhm.
I've been through, pretty tough things, and I think that, my life's work is just helping women find their greatness, you
Mm.
know, and then just, holding community with them. Yeah,
Yes, yes.
you know. Yeah,
You
just
get
being
it. You get it.
right,
I feel like our missions are very similar,
right.
and I could talk to you for
We
hours.
need so many people with this mission
We
though, right?
we need so many people with this mission, and I know that, like, in your, intake form, you shared
Mhm.
about, like, legacies, and I know, like, we're getting towards the end of this episode, but I really just wanted you to share a little bit about what legacy you want to leave, as we were talking about, like, those thousands of years after we're no longer here. I know some people
Right,
would think, like, it's kinda morbid to think that far ahead, but, like, I think about it all the time. I'm like, there's going to be a period in time when I'm not here. What can I leave for my community, for my family, for m- the people, like for this time to just like kind of leave my mark and like lay a foundation for them to build on so we can keep making progress in the right direction. Um,
right.
so it's just like what do you define as a legacy or legacies, and what is yours?
So I look at legacy as like kind of living, right? So
Hmm.
we're doing our legacy now. Um,
Yes.
and so even though we're going to make like a lot of mistakes in life and it's going to be tough, I look at it like the legacy that was passed down to me was like one of, always put yourself last, always martyr yourself for
Mm,
anybody and everybody, right? For
yeah.
the greater whole, let your mental health wear away. And, to the point of all these beautiful women who raised me, who raised families, they also left me really beautiful things as well, right?
Yeah.
Being selfless and having a good heart and things. And so the legacy that I'm creating right now, that I'm trying to create, is just one of like being so aware of yourself, right?
Mm,
Starting with like awareness, not a hyper awareness where you're going to drive yourself nuts, but being an aware human being, because the more you can be aware of yourself, the more you can extend that awareness to others, right?
yeah.
So really learning how to take care of myself, because when I learn how to take care of myself and have a relationship with myself, then all of a sudden my cup's running over, right?
Yes. Oh,
And everybody can stick their cup up to it. I'm no longer tilting my cup over.
yeah.
I'm no
Oh,
longer pouring over. I'm just letting it flow out, and then you're going to take that. So, when we look at, a couple hundred years in the past and stuff like that, what I want a woman from my line to say is, you know what? She wrote the manual on how to take care of yourself unapologetically and fearlessly and fierce so that you can make sure you are so nourished and so supported that you like literally like pound your fist and the world shakes, right?
Yes,
And that's and I mean that I know that that's kind of abstract, but
I can
what I
see
mean
it.
is that what women are going to do many different things, right? We're going to teach, we're going to coach, we're going to be in business. We're going to do so you can have any little aspect of life that you want to do, right? And outside of the thing that you go do for other people, the service that you do, you're going to have a family. You're going to have, intimate ones.
Mm,
But at the end of the day, the one person that you take into all facets of that life is you, right? And so I think that really when we say how can we make the world a better place? How can we do this? Look, if everybody simply stops and looks at themselves and becomes comfortable with themselves and takes care of themselves and really tries to be aware of themselves, when we all look back out into the world, we'll see a reflection of ourselves,
mm,
right? And so it's like I'm a strong believer. I know I have an INFJ personality, and people are like, "You are the most idealistic person in the world," right? But that's my goal. My goal is when I have my little Maggie, and that's a whole long, backstory to that. That's my grandma's name. But when I have my little Maggie, I want her to really just naturally, from
mm,
a foundational standpoint, know what it looks like to stand up for herself. Not spend 20 years trying to figure out how to say no to just
mm,
the smallest, most minute things, right? Not apologizing for her hair, not apologizing because she decides, to wear her hair covered or, whatever it is that we go through in this life that we are literally held back by these things because they were just passed down to us. They're baked into our foundation, right? So I'm changing the recipe
ooh,
on that.
ooh. I hope all the mamas listening heard that word. Oh my gosh. If I haven't told y'all enough on the podcast that you need to take care of yourself because without you, there is nothing,
Nothing.
absolutely nothing to give or to pour into. You have to pour into yourself. And I
Yeah.
just want to make an invitation for anyone who's listening who needs support around creating that space to pour into yourself that I'm here for you. If you're looking for a coach and some space to like
Beautiful.
actually do this, I am here for you. And if you need that support in your business, Khalida.
There
Khalida
you
is
go.
here for you.
Yes.
So we want to pour into you because we're overflowing. And so yes, if that is something that you're interested in, we're here for you. But as we're wrapping up today, I'm gonna put the reflection prompts on the screen for you all because there was a lot that we shared in today's episode. And I just want you guys all to sit with whatever is coming up for you. So if you're watching on YouTube or wherever you're viewing, the prompts will come up on the screen. And if you are listening to the audio, they will be in the show notes. So take that time to reflect. The next 3 minutes are for you. And I'll see you tomorrow. And we're so happy that you took some time to spend with us today. But
Yeah, it's been fun.
it has been fun. But we will let you go and I will see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Hey everybody, I really hope you enjoyed today's girl chat. I loved having these conversations and I'm sure you're going to enjoy tomorrow's episode as well. But before you go ahead and click to the next girl chat, I want you to share your thoughts on this one. So you can go to the comments and share your key takeaways, what gem resonated with you, and just let us know your thoughts. And so, yeah, we want to keep the conversation going. We want to keep the girl chat going, even though it's over. But you can start the conversation down in the comments if you're watching on YouTube. And if you are listening on the podcast, I want you to go ahead and take a screenshot of this episode and tag us at DuLaSpoon on Instagram and let us know your thoughts. Same thing, keep the conversation going, share it with a friend, let us know your key insights, your key takeaways, and yeah, I want to know your thoughts. How did you feel today's girl chat went? What resonated with you? So yes, that is what I want. And then I will see you tomorrow. For the next girl chat, and I'm so excited about this series. So excited about it. So but I will see you tomorrow for the next girl chat, and yeah, I love y'all. Bye.